and welcome to Mr. Randy's Wine and Spirits. I am Mr. Randy, and we're here again today with another episode, a full review episode. Today we're going to be doing the Drumshanbo Gunpowder Irish Gin. There's a lot here to pull apart, but first, if you're new to the channel, hello and welcome. Come on in. If you're a returning viewer, you know how we do. Come on. So this is a gin. It is an Irish gin. This was designed and made by a guy named PJ who traveled the world a bit and pulled together some few things from here and there, tried some experimenting, and came up with this. So this is the part 2 of part 3, three-part episode where Mr. Randy does the review, starting with part 1 called Off the Rip. We get it home, we crack it open, have the first pour, and share the first impressions with you because you know why. You know why. Yeah, you do. So part 2 is where we're at today. We are halfway through this bottle. That is a blue tinted bottle. Halfway through, we give the whiskey in the bottle, we give the spirit inside the bottle enough time and space to open up and see if the characteristics change from the first pour. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's for the worse. Hopefully it's never for the worse. But here we are. But part 3 is going to be down here somewhere. Eventually, we get down to the final pour, maybe the final 2 pours. We figure out, is the very last bit in this bottle any better or worse than the rest of it through this review. But here we are at part 2. So let's go ahead and get a look at this. This is Oriental Botanicals with gunpowder tea. You've never had gunpowder tea. I've had several different Chinese teas, Japanese teas. My favorite Japanese tea is the Genmaicha. It is a popped rice tea. It's basically Rice Krispies. It has a certain mellow sweetness and it's very delicious. I recommend you try it if you ever have the chance. Do understand that when it comes to these teas, you have to do it a certain way in order to get favorable results. If you don't, it's just crap water. So Drumshanbo slow distilled, they used copper pots to distill this. They do it in very small batches. Over here. 43% alcohol by volume from the curious minds of PJ Rigney. That's the guy who went around the world trying a bunch of different things and came up with this. So it does have a little thing on here. I'll take that off real quick and give you a looky-loo. So, exotic layers of fresh citrus, oriental botanicals, and gunpowder tea. Again, if you've never had gunpowder tea, it might not make a whole lot of difference. Our botanicals, slow distilled by hand in a medieval copper pot gin still. Look at all that stuff. So over here, and then you have that. I'm going to give you a moment to look at that. Pause it if you'd like. We're going to move over here. It basically, Ireland, Germany, Morocco, Romania, Macedonia, and then whoop, India, Indonesia, Cambodia, and then finally stopped off in China. I'll give you a moment just to read over that. And then finally on this side, and then this side, and then this side. Well, you've already been there. So that there, I call it a jackrabbit. It's not, I mean, it's sort of a jackrabbit, but why are we still talking? We should be pouring. Oh, that's a tight synthetic cork. It's got a nice little cork. That's a nice cork top. Let's get a pour on just to let it sit there and open up for a moment. There you, hey, what are you doing? Come on, there you go. So Mr. Randy paid just under $38 out the door for this gin. It comes in at 43%. It is an Irish gin. We talked about how it used copper pots. Oh, medieval copper pot stills. And it has a very crystal clear. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit dry at the moment. We're going to alleviate that in just a second here. But on the nose, very nice. It's a lot better than off the rip nose. It's very botanical. Juniper, citrus, lime, Oh, a lot of that great stuff. It's very much better. This is very much better than the off the rip nose. Not quite as good as that Gin Roku. That's a Japanese gin. Very nice, very wonderful. I do believe the Gin Roku is a little less expensive than this was. It's got a very vibrant, very bright and beautiful nose. It's very flagrant. So let's get on the palate. Jackalope, right? Wasn't that? Because a jackalope is the difference between a jackrabbit and an antelope, a jackalope. Now, I've seen something in the failing light of an afternoon in the central Texas here. I've seen things I've never seen anywhere else before. Things are not explainable and things that most people don't want to believe. But I've seen one of these things. It had not two horns. It had like one. It might have been... What happens every now and then in wildlife is sometimes they have what's a calcium buildup or a calculus buildup, and a horn. It basically grows like a hard, like a thumbnail, like a fingernail or something, grows out of the skin, you know, protruding from bone. Maybe an injury or something that caused it to do this. And I seen something. It looked like it only had one horn, but it looked like that. It was a big freaking rabbit with something growing out of its head. That happens in wildlife. You see, there's a deer that has, like, its nostrils are on the, sort of like on the top of its snout instead of like at the front end. It's like on the top. Though I forget what they're called, but weird looking things when they sniff. They use those as like an extended olfactory sort of glands, and they get better sense of smell through those openings on the top of their freaking head. So let's go ahead and get this on the palate. Very citrus, very botanical, very flowery. Got some good spice. I'd say the palate is one notch below the nose. I don't have a whole lot of more information beyond what we've already shared. There's not a whole lot more on the website. It has a little bit more in depth of story behind this guy PJ Rigney. Has a little bit more about him, his journeys through that whole other side of the planet. But there's not a whole lot. If you've got some information that I have not shared in this video, please feel free or obligated to add that information in. Go ahead and do that in the comments below. We'd all love to know more about what we're drinking. So let's go ahead and get a finish on this. Got that squeakiness on the teeth right now from the tongue and the cheeks, which means the transfer of viscosity is pretty good. Pretty good in the glass, pretty good in the mouth. The finish is relatively balanced, where it's kind of all over the place. A little bit more on the tip of the tongue, but definitely the top of the tongue, cheeks, jowls. And then finally, coming up on the back end of all the things is going to be that warmth that sits on the back of the mouth, the top of the throat. It's still kind of juicy. It really makes you salivate. Not like a peated scotch, but it's a good gin. Not going to be my favorite gin, but I've had worse. Absolutely had worse. So it's a good finish. So let's get a score on this, shall we? So coming in at 38 out the door with a 43% ABV. Not as great as the Gin Roku, but it is still pretty good. It's better than that Hendrick's Flora Adora, except for that that final pour, that was different. My score is going to be a weak 4 out of 5. A weak 4 out of 5. If it had a little bit of a step up, if it was a little bit notch tuned one level above where it's at, I think I would have given it a solid 4 out of 5. But a weak 4 out of 5, still very good for what this is. The price is a little bit high, I think. So that's going to lead me into my fair price. For this, I definitely wouldn't feel good about spending more than $35 for this bottle, considering for a few dollars less, I can get that Gin Roku Japanese, and it's a heck of a lot better. It is loads better. Not saying that this isn't bad. This isn't good. It's not bad. It's just, I keep thinking about that Gin Roku. It's really good. I've had other gins that Still Austin is pretty good for $30. I'd rather have the Still Austin. This is good. It's unique. It's a little different. It does different. It's got a different palate. It's got a different nose. The finish is okay, but the uniqueness of it being a Irish gunpowder gin gives it that little extra boost, but that doesn't carry very far with me because, go down the road a few minutes, get the Still Austin gin for $30, blows this away. It is what it is. Thank you for the experience, Drumshanbo. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, PJ. Give a shout out to PJ. Thank you for traveling all over the other side of the globe to pull all these things together to make a good gin. Thank you, honestly. So my fair price, like I said, it's going to be less than 30. Absolutely less than 30. I don't feel very good about spending nearly $40 for something that's overshadowed by something a lot less. But it is what it is. So would I buy this again? I think you know the answer to that, and it's no. I appreciate the experience. I really do. But that's how I roll. I like to have a new bottle of something every time I go out so that I can always have a new experience. And I compare those. And then I take those comparisons and I share them with you. That's the whole purpose of this full review video. So if you've had this and you've appreciated it, great. If you've had other things that weren't so great compared to this, you know what I'm saying. So that's what the point is. It's to share the information, share the wealth of information, so you can make better informed decisions about what you drink. So what are you drinking? Let us know in the comments. And as always, thanks for stopping by here at Mr. Randy's Wine and Spirits. You have a good one.